Man, this is one of those NASCAR weekends where you can feel the pressure coming from every direction. There are two major storylines hanging over this race, and both say a lot about where the season is heading right now. One story is about teams getting hit at the worst possible time, right when every small detail matters. The other is about a big-name driver coming off a win, but still in disbelief over how quickly things can turn in this sport. That's what makes this moment so interesting as a fan. It's not just about speed anymore. It's about mistakes, pressure, recovery, and who can handle the chaos when things get real. These are the kinds of stories that can shape a race before the green flag even drops. And honestly, that's why NASCAR never lets us relax. Before we get into it, make sure to like the video and subscribe to NASCAR Nation Report if you're a true NASCAR fan. This channel is brand new, and we're pushing toward our first 10,000 subscribers. If you love real, passionate NASCAR talk, you're in the right place. First, let's talk about the penalty situation at Darlington, because this is bigger than it might seem at first. 3 NASCAR Cup Series teams were penalized after failing post-qualifying inspection twice on Saturday, the 21st of March 2026, ahead of the Goodyear 400 at Darlington Raceway. The teams involved were Hendrick Motorsports number 9 Chevrolet, driven by Chase Elliott; RFK Racing's number 17 Ford, driven by Chris Buescher; MBM Motorsports number 60SX Ford, driven by Timmy Hill. Under NASCAR rules, Section 10.5.1, failing inspection multiple times in the same session brings immediate consequences, and NASCAR enforced that rule right away. Each team lost its car chief for the rest of the weekend, and also lost pit stall selection for Sunday's race. Now, they still start from their original qualifying positions, which helps, but when it comes to pit road, they're stuck with whatever stalls are left. And at Darlington, that's a serious disadvantage. Anyone who watches this track knows how unforgiving it is. Darlington Raceway is a 1.366-mile oval that's narrow, tricky, and brutal on tires. Passing is tough, and pit strategy can decide the race. A bad pit stall can mean slower entries and exits, less working space, and a higher risk of losing track position, especially during green flag pit cycles or late cautions. At a track where clean air matters so much, that's a big problem. On top of that, losing car chiefs is a huge blow. Chase Elliott's team loses Matt Barnt. Chris Buescher's team loses Josh Sisko. Timmy Hill's team loses Dylan Roberts. These aren't small changes. The rest of the crew now has to take on extra responsibilities: communication, adjustments, race strategy, and pit execution, all under pressure. For Chase Elliott and Hendrick Motorsports, this adds pressure to a team that usually expects to compete for wins. For Chris Buescher and RFK Racing, it's frustrating because they've been consistent this season. And for Timmy Hill and MBM Motorsports, it's even tougher, since smaller teams don't have much room for error. The one bit of good news? None of the drivers have to serve a pass-through penalty. They'll all start where they qualified. So it's not a disaster, but it definitely raises the pressure once the race begins. Every pit stop, every call, and every adjustment matters even more now. And this is exactly why NASCAR is strict with inspections. The message is clear: fail twice, and there will be consequences. Now the real question is, can these teams recover? Now let's move to the second story, because Denny Hamlin gave a fascinating look at his Las Vegas win, and it shows just how unpredictable a race can be, even when you end up in victory lane. On his podcast, Actions Detrimental, Hamlin talked about the speeding penalty he received mid-race. He said he was genuinely shocked because he believed he had followed the team's instructions perfectly. Instead of blaming NASCAR, he admitted the team likely miscalculated something, possibly the timing lines, or how that section was scored. He also pointed out that multiple drivers were caught speeding in the same area, suggesting it was a trickier section than expected. This is classic. NASCAR races often come down to tiny margins, tiny timing windows, and small guesses about where the limit really is. Miss it by just a little, and your entire race can flip upside down. That's exactly what happened to Hamlin. But what makes it impressive is how he responded. He said that about 15 laps after the penalty, he had already gained around 10 positions. That gave him confidence that there was still plenty of time left. That's the mindset of a veteran driver, staying calm, adjusting, and working through the race instead of panicking. And in the end, it paid off. Hamlin came back and won the race in Las Vegas. That says a lot about both the car and the driver. Love him or hate him, Hamlin is one of the best at recovering when things go wrong. Looking at the bigger picture, that win locked Denny Hamlin into the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs and moved him up to 4th in the standings. Ahead of him are Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, and Ryan Blaney. What makes this even more interesting is that 23XI Racing now has the top 2 drivers in the standings, Reddick and Wallace, while Hamlin is right behind them after his Vegas win. That's a huge statement about how strong that organization is early in the season. From a fan perspective, this is one of the most exciting parts of the year so far. You've got experienced drivers like Hamlin still winning and proving they can recover under pressure, while younger stars are rising to the top. Now everything shifts to Darlington, a perfect stage for these two storylines to collide. On one side, you have Chase Elliott, Chris Buescher, and Timmy Hill dealing with real disadvantages after those inspection penalties. On the other, you have Denny Hamlin coming in with momentum, confidence, and a recent win even after overcoming a major setback. That's why these stories matter together. One is about teams trying to recover from pre-race mistakes. The other is about a driver recovering from an in-race mistake and still winning. And that really sums up NASCAR right now. It's not just about speed, it's about adapting, handling pressure, recovering from mistakes, and taking advantage when opportunities come. So heading into Darlington, there are some big questions. Can Chase Elliott and the number 9 team overcome the loss of their car chief and a bad pit stall? Can Chris Buescher keep his consistency despite the setback? Can Timmy Hill and MBM Motorsports fight through a tough situation? And can Denny Hamlin keep this momentum going? That's what makes this weekend so exciting. There's pressure, controversy, momentum, and real consequences shaping the race before it even begins. Darlington is going to test everyone. The penalized teams have to prove they can adapt, and Denny Hamlin looks like one of the biggest threats in the garage right now. Let me know what you think. Do these penalties seriously hurt Elliott, Buescher, and Hill at Darlington? And after that Las Vegas win, do you see Denny Hamlin as a real championship contender this season? Drop your thoughts in the comments, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to NASCAR Nation Report if you love real NASCAR discussion.